Hello, my name is Tony Sparks, and this is an episode of Don't Block Me, Block You. In this episode, we're going to talk about what is blockchain. So blockchain is a database that uses hashing algorithms to record and maintain the authenticity of the data inside of the database. A hashing algorithm is a recipe for creating a unique ID from unique input. The input can be data. It can be data that's inside the database, or it can be the whole entire database. This allows you to enter a whole entire database into a hashing algorithm, have a hash, unique ID, and that allows you to determine if this data was ever corrupted. Let's say someone ever changed the data inside the data, it will create a different hash. And then it will let someone know that the data has been corrupted, it's been changed, because the hash is different from the correct history. So let's talk about some examples of blockchains. The most well-known one is Bitcoin. It is a database and it stores numbers, balances. All a Bitcoin is a number in a database associated with a certain address. That's it, right? One Bitcoin is the same as another. It's just a number. The balances of the numbers and who has how much is recorded in the blockchain that is a database. And there is one hash for the current history of Bitcoin. That is correct. And that's what Bitcoin is. That's an example. Another example of a blockchain is Ethereum. Instead of storing numbers to addresses, Ethereum stores code to addresses. These codes are called smart contracts. That's it. You know, I'm a software engineer. I write code. I do JavaScript. You know, I write a script to do some stuff. I can store that in Ethereum, and it will just be there. And the cool thing about it, based off of how the blockchain works, once it's there, it can't be erased. If it's ever erased or tampered with, then that would be changing the hash. And then people would know, hey, there's something different about this data. It's not legit. And so that's why you can put smart contracts inside of a database that is blockchain, and then allow that to be a trusted source for executing your agreements that you may put inside of the code. Ripple is another example of a blockchain. It is similar to Bitcoin in that it records numbers, but it's used by banks. And so this is a perfect segue into decentralized blockchains versus centralized blockchains. Decentralized blockchains are maintained and not owned by anybody. Anyone can maintain it. They can just log on and then maintain it. We'll talk about that later. And then there are centralized blockchains that are maintained by a company, like IBM for Hyperledger, or Ripple is maintained by a series of banks and one specific company that created Ripple. So what does it mean to maintain a blockchain database? Well, so as data is added to the database, it is the responsibility of people to verify these updates. And a lot of times these people need to be rewarded for doing this because it takes time, energy, and electricity a lot of times to add these updates. These people are called miners. In Bitcoin, miners are rewarded Bitcoin numbers are added to their account every time they verify a transaction, and a new hash is created. So you may say, oh, well, how do we know these people are trusted? You know, and essentially, a lot of people, because they have this history, they can verify the transactions that are added by other people are legit. And that's the power of having a decentralized database is everybody has the history. Everybody knows the correct hash. And so if you ever try to do some updates to the database that will go against past history and essentially be a corruption, then that hash will let everybody know that there's fraud afoot. So sometimes you have miners that maintain the database, and then sometimes you have companies that maintain the database. For example, like Ripple or for Hyperledger. It depends on who you trust and the 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 power you want to give certain organizations or individuals. It's all about a preference thing, and then like at some point it becomes a cost thing. There's different ways to maintain a blockchain. There's proof of stake, there's proof of work. You guys can look into that, other videos, but just high level proof of stake, just there's certain people that just keep the ledger and they just verify transactions and they get rewarded by keeping a ledger in a place that's called cold storage. It's just a place where they store their data. So I'm going to end this video talking about the benefits of blockchain. First one, it promotes transparency, right? I think that government should be transparent in a lot of ways, how our votes work and things like that. Sometimes businesses need to be transparent about stuff, right? Or if you don't know people, you need transparency. It stops double spending. That was a big problem in 2008 where people were getting loans for, let's say, a certain amount of money, but they would spend that certain amount of money like 3 or 4 times before someone realized they didn't have the money to spend anymore, right? And blockchain alleviates that by being transparent. And then, it allows for communities to kind of like form. Bitcoin is a community. It was a social experiment. And, communities can transparently say stuff and do stuff and, form. And, because it's decentralized, to some degree, no one can stop it. It's up to the people to just decide to stop using it. And then, it helps with organization. And yeah, it stores balances in code, which is pretty dope. Like I like code. I do code. I store code. And I think there's a lot of applications that can come from smart contracts. So that's about it. I would like to thank you guys for your time. And I would also like to say like blockchain removes middlemen out of situations like banks and stuff. And then that's the last fact I'm going to give you guys. So once again, don't block me, block you, right? I teach blockchain education, how to write these smart contract codes. It's very easy. It's not that hard. Especially because I taught you guys how to do it. I'm teaching you and I've done all the hard stuff. And so all you have to do is just like watch the videos and you'll just learn how to be like me or better than me. Don't be like me, be better than me. Don't block me, block you. Tony Sparks. Thank you.